What's up guys? This is Ben back at you with yet another video. Hope you're all doing well, staying safe, staying happy, creating, all of that good stuff. Welcome to Filters the video. Now later on in another video or video series I'll be talking about the exposure triangle, so I'll leave out all of that stuff. I won't talk about that. I'll talk about how ND filters work with all of that later on in that series. But what I will talk about are the main three kind of filters that you'll usually be finding. We have UV filters, CPL or circular polarizing lenses, and then an ND filter. ND filters can usually come with just a straight standard single amount of ND filter number, or they can be variable. Here I have my brand new lens, partially unboxed, back in the box today. It is the nice, beautiful Sony 18-105 f4. So now that I've got my new lens on, then it's time to talk about filters. Now I've actually already got my UV filter on. I'll take this off for now. Now the first thing to think about when you're looking into buying a filter is obviously what filter you need and what you need it for. But once you have that figured out, then it's time to think about the size. So filters are sold in different sizes. You can find the size on the lens, usually on the inside of the lens here, maybe sometimes printed on the side or on the box. So here I have a 72 diameter, which means 72 millimeters. So that's from this side to this side. Yeah, that basically just says how wide the circle is that you'll be screwing on. You can see here that it fits perfectly, and then it just screws into the front like this. Sometimes you'll get lucky and have multiple lenses with the same diameter, and then you only have to buy one set of filters for multiple lenses. Other times, like these two lenses, this lens is a 40.5 millimeter diameter, so obviously I need a different size filter for that one. Now you can also get step up and step down rings, so if you were to look on Amazon for some filters, you would often see Gobe and K&F Concept as some of the brands. You'll also find like Amazon Basics selling some filters, but I went with Gobe and K&F Concept. So let's talk about what each of them do. The reason I have the UV filter out already is that UV filters are more or less useless. Like, most lenses have coating on them that protects from UV rays. I think most sensors are usually covered up with multiple layers of glass with different coatings that protect from different things. And I think UV is in there already. Before adding on the UV filter, you're already getting UV filtered out throughout the system. But most people use UV filters just to protect the glass of their lens because it's a lot easier and cheaper to replace this little slice of glass than the entire lens. Now, one thing that you may need to look into is some UV filters kind of distort the colors in the lens. The cheaper you go, the less color accurate you're gonna get sometimes. So I can't speak directly to what company or what specific products are best for this. This is actually my first UV filter that I've bought, so I don't have anything else to compare it to, but obviously check the reviews if you're buying from Amazon or from other sites if they have reviews. Look into the product that you're getting. Maybe see if the product itself has some before and after photos just to double check the quality of it, but for the most part, most people I don't think will be noticing too much of a difference. And then there's also different prices. You can go all the way down to 10 bucks for like an Amazon Basics UV filter, all the way up to close to 100 or even more. What you're getting for that different cost is quality of material, quality of the coating itself, and then you're probably gonna get some better color accuracy if you pay more. For Gobe products, they have a guarantee that if you register your product, then they'll plant a few trees for you, which is pretty cool. The product comes in this recycled cardboard box. And then you also get a cleaning cloth per purchase, and then you get this tin screw open canister, I guess. The lid is pretty empty, and then all it is just a foam insert. Take the filter, stick it in, there it is. Close it up. Now it's nice and protected, don't have to worry about it, and that's that. So basically my only plan with this UV filter is putting it on this lens whenever I'm not using the other two filters all the time, basically. My lens cap can fit on it. I don't have to worry about getting scratches on my brand new lens. If I get scratches, it's going on the much cheaper UV filter. Next up, we've got CPL filters. So again, it's a Go product, came with the tree planting guarantee, it came with the cleaning cloth, comes in the same kind of tin. But if you pull it out, this guy is a little bit thicker because it's two different pieces of glass and they both spin independently. So I'm gonna go ahead and screw this on. So that's nice and tight there. So what does CPL do? If you've ever used polarized sunglasses versus normal non-polarized sunglasses, you'll notice that they kind of cut out reflections. So if you're on the lake, for example, you won't get any of the sun reflecting off the water. The water will be a lot less bright. And then the sky is also usually a little bit clearer. The blue is a little bit more vibrant, and that's because it cuts out all the haze in the sky. If you were to look into a car window, you won't see the reflection as much. So obviously you're not walking around with sunglasses with two different filters that you have to spin around. Those are set in place. But with a CPL filter for your camera, the reason that you can spin it is because obviously cameras, you're sometimes shooting like this, sometimes like this, moving around. So having it spin lets you be able to cut out different angles of the reflections. Now again, sometimes these can cast a little bit of a different color on it. I think the more you pay, the better color accurate you'll get. It also usually darkens the image just a little bit. Right now, this table is pretty shiny from the light that I have right here, but if I look through the filter and I spin it, I can completely cut out the entire reflection on the table and just see the table. So let me try and show this on the camera. All right, so here I am filtering out the reflection, and look at that nice table. My skin still looks normal. Look at that nice lens on a nice dark table. And then this is what I see. This is what the CPL filter does. What I see, what the filter does. So you can see that as I spin it, it cuts out more or less, and it just keeps going. There's no end. So it's all about figuring out what amount of reflection you want in your images. And that's the CPL filter. It really helps if you're shooting cars through the window. You can cut out a lot of the reflection. Shooting through any window for that matter is helpful with a CPL filter because you can cut out the reflections. And then finally we have ND filter. Here I have a K&F Concept ND filter. I can open this up. It's packaged just a little bit nicer with the box, not as recycled, but still pretty nice. Comes in a hard plastic case, so it's not metal. And it pops open like this. So what I have here is a variable ND filter. That means that it's similar to the CPL filter. I can spin the outer ring of glass and then it changes as I spin it. But before I get into the variable part, let's just talk about ND filters. ND stands for neutral density, and it's basically non-polarized sunglasses for your camera. As I'll be talking about further on in the exposure triangle video, there's a limit to what you can control with the exposure of your camera, sometimes if you're doing specific shots. Long exposures, for example, need to have a long shutter speed, but sometimes you need a specific amount of aperture to have a certain depth of field, and then ISO is only so limited sometimes, so sometimes you just need a way to make your image darker. And that's where ND filters come in. You just slap this onto your lens, and then it makes it darker. Simple as that. The camera that I'm using right now to film actually has internal ND filters, which is something I talked about in the video where I compared my A6500 to the FS7. So let me just show you real quick. So as you could see, I was just turning a switch that turned the ND filter on and off. Basically inside the camera, all it's doing is wee, 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 wee. So it's basically just putting this piece of sunglass material in front of the lens or behind the lens for this camera and then pulling it off. All it's doing is putting a darkened piece of glass in front of the sensor. And it's really that simple. Now, variable ND filters basically does the exact same thing, but lets you spin it to make it darker. I'm not too sure the science behind how this works, but if you've ever played around with the 3D glasses that you can get from the movie theater, you'll know that putting two of those lenses on top of each other and then changing the angle of them will make them darker. And it's basically the same thing that this does. The science behind it, no idea. Might just be easier to show off how this works instead of explaining it. Let's do the same shot here. This time I don't have the CPL filter on, so I'm not getting the reflection taken off, but this ND filter starts at ND2. So that means that's basically one of the lowest. I think 0 is basically 0, like no ND filter at all. And then as you progress up those numbers, the amount of neutral density is increased. So that makes the image more and more dark as you go on. So this specific filter starts at ND2 and goes all the way up to ND32. Starting from 2, as I spin this, you can tell the image gets darker. You can see my hand is dark. Go to halfway, you can see my hand is a little bit brighter now. And then all the way back to ND2, and this is my hand now. So this is just me holding the ND filter over the lens, and then 1, 2, 3 off, and it's brighter. On, off. So that's basically what it looks like. The UV filter doesn't look like it does anything. The CPL filter just filters out the sky and some reflections, and the ND filter just makes it darker. So it's pretty straightforward when it comes to filters. Obviously, it's not something that you need for every lens. I would recommend getting at least a UV filter, especially if you're getting a brand new lens, just to make sure that you keep it just a little bit cleaner. Now, those are the main 3 filters that you'll find when you're looking into filters for your lenses, but there are others. UV filter, CPL filter, and ND filter are the main 3 that you'll usually find and that you'll usually need to use when you have a DSLR or a mirrorless camera like this. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know if you know of any better brands than Gobe and KNF Concept. Throw that down in the comments so that myself and all the other viewers can learn about that as well. Feel free to subscribe if you like this video. Throw a big thumbs up on it as well. Hope you enjoyed this video. Catch you in the next one. Peace.